So when the Earth-Moon telescope points at comet Elenin, for example, what do we see?
Sir Isaac Newton was the first to state the law of gravity. Eventually, everybody agreed that gravity alone formed galaxies and stars and planets, and that gravity alone holds the universe together. Then we discovered a force 1,000 billion times more powerful than gravity. Until recently, we believed that the space between the stars and planets was empty, a vacuum. We now know it is teeming with charged particles. We see glowing electric filaments spanning millions of light years. We see stellar and galactic formations shaped by magnetic fields. Only electric currents create magnetic fields. It is possible that the predominant force in the universe is not gravity, but something else.
Hey, what's up, Tommy?
Oh, nothing. I just want the fucking facts about what's going on in space. I just want the truth for once. God, I am sick of all the fucking lies from that wanker David Morrison.
Well, why don't you just ask him? David Morrison knows what is going on, Tommy. He works for NASA.
What? That fucking goddamn liar David Morrison? He is the biggest fucking liar in NASA. Shit, I hear about fucking Nibiru and fucking aliens all over the sun. What the fuck is going on?
Wow, you're very mad today. Tommy, why are you so mad?
'Cause I just can't get the fucking truth from that goddamn liar. David Morrison, he just pacifies people. He feeds people bullshit about Nibiru and the fucking comet Elenin.
Well, I read about planet Mercury getting pulled into the sun. NASA is hiding this from the people of the world. That is what I hear. Well, what do you think is going to happen?
Will I hear about a fucking alien invasion? Freaking aliens attacking the fucking Earth, and that planet X, Nibiru, and things about the aliens mining the sun, that goddamn wanker.
Tommy, you should just go home today, and get some sleep. You're very mad right now. You need some sleep, 'cause I don't know what is going on in outer space, Tommy. NASA knows.
Yes, I know you do not know. Will that fucking wanker David Morrison knows? That goddamn asshole? Soon of a bitch fucking wanker David Morrison, he is a fucking liar.
light takes a long time to travel between stars and across galaxies, and therefore we look upon ourselves as isolated and disconnected. The electric universe takes a different view. It says that we are a part of the sun's environment, electrical environment, and the sun is a part of the galactic environment, and the galaxy itself is strung, like all galaxies, on huge electric currents flowing through the universe.
Every see, but it's very clear that some sees it does. And I think the Jupiter influence is something electromagnetic, simply because it can't be gravity. Well, Elenin's could also be electromagnetic. So is there anything else we can see with Elenin regarding its correlating to earthquakes, for example? And you might recall that we had this big drop-off in earthquakes occurring at the beginning of 2009. Well, where was Elenin at the beginning of 2009? Let's think of it in terms of the electric universe. This is an electromagnetic object coming in. And if we pull up Celestia, and I've got it set for the end of 2008, beginning of 2009. I'll just slow it down a bit because it's going to go too fast. Okay, and let's let it run. And where is Elenin? Elenin's up here. I'll zoom out a bit. And where is Elenin? It's passing Saturn. So at the time when we started to get this drop off, earthquakes, it's when Elenin was closest to Saturn. So is it possible that Elenin was discharging itself as it was passing Saturn? Whatever energy it was carrying has been discharged, and now as Saturn moves off, it's still approaching us and the earthquakes pick up again, which is what we do see. From the 2009 you can see it dropping off, and it doesn't really start to pick up again until the beginning of 2010. So let's go back to Celestia, run it on a bit further. Okay, it's we're at the beginning of 2010, actually, or into May already. So is there another situation where you can see this also occurring? Because does it come close to any other planets? And actually it doesn't. For the whole run in, it's actually clear of most of the planets, apart from Earth, which manages to get in the way. Can we slow it down a bit? And you'll see that, okay, now it's trailing Earth. And everyone was anticipating, including myself, that when it got to about Earth's orbit, we'd actually see an uptick in earthquakes. And did we? Actually we didn't. Have a look to see what happened. We zoom in here, and this is occurring as close to Earth at about end of July. Well, end of July we actually have a very low level of earthquakes. In fact, we zoom out a bit, you see this is actually the lowest number of earthquakes we've had for years and years. And if you was to show a chart going back to 1963, you'll see we're actually about 1980s. This is back to the levels we were in the 80s. It was a very quiet time for earthquakes. And why would that be? Well, if this is a charged object, as it got to the Earth's distance from the Sun and is travelling approximately, its approach to the Earth is basically tracking the Earth, well, now it's discharged itself, or is picking up charge from the Sun, and it's really not too different from the Earth itself. It's actually at the same charge level as the Earth. Now, as it's approaching the Sun, it's becoming charged more closely to the level of the Sun, and it's now starting to accelerate towards us again. And this is where we're starting to see an uptick in earthquakes again. So the pattern does seem to conform with this is a charged object, which is this whole electric universe idea, and as it's approaching us and gaining charge, it's starting to affect us again. So is this what we've been observing over the last couple of months? For example, on June 22nd we picked up charge from Elenin, And then on June 24 we discharged to Jupiter. And then on July 6 we picked up even more charge from Elenin. And then on July 10 we discharged that to Jupiter. And of course now Elenin is getting closer to our orbit, but we still picked up charge from Elenin on July 19 and discharged that to Jupiter on July 24. However, now Elenin has reached the same distance as our orbit, and we don't pick up any charge at all, and there's only a small discharge to Jupiter on August 6. And then on August 17, Elenin's actually very close to, or it's actually at Venus's orbit, and we pick up the charge from Elenin there. And then, because we actually were getting closer to Jupiter as well, we discharge to Jupiter. So the next time we'd expect this to occur would be on August 31st, September 1st. We'll pick up an even larger charge from Elenin, and we'll have subsequent earthquakes to go with it. And because we're much closer to Jupiter, we'll discharge that on September 3rd, perhaps on September 2nd. And the worst possible alignment with Elenin would appear to be on to September 27, because on September 27 Elenin will be passing between the Earth and the Sun. But it's worse than that. The tail of Elenin will be passing over the top of the Earth, and the Moon will be pointing directly towards Elenin in the same alignment as the tail. And on the charts, as you can see here, this is where we're closest. We're in alignment with Elenin, and the Moon is in alignment with Elenin. So we could expect to pick up a massive charge from Elenin, which is just picked up from the Sun. So it's been around the Sun, near to Mercury's orbit. It's now where the first object that's encountered will fully discharge at that moment onto the Earth. And then a few days later, on September 30, the Moon and the Earth will be in alignment with Jupiter, and we'll discharge that onto Jupiter, and that will be another massive set of events. So I suspect we're going to have very significant earthquakes on September 27, in excess of what we saw on March 11 this year.
It was not until the second half of the 20th century that we came to realize the role of plasma in the universe. And this has changed the picture of space completely. Not long ago, we thought of the physical universe as being constituted, fundamentally, of nothing more than atoms and empty space. But a plasma includes at least a percentage of charged particles, protons and electrons, that are not bound to any atomic structure. And plasma is an excellent conductor. Electrons will move efficiently in the direction of charge equalization, and that's an electric current, of course. Now, the reason why we see magnetic fields everywhere we look in space is because electric currents produce magnetic fields, and only electric currents produce magnetic fields. But astronomers working only with gravitational equations did not anticipate the discovery of pervasive magnetic fields in deep space. Electric currents also account for the abundant filamentation of space plasma. First, the electric currents produce the magnetic fields. Then these fields confine the electron flow to narrow paths. Such current paths, or filaments, are called Birkeland currents, named after the pioneer Christian Birkeland. They are typically braided just like the twisted wires of transmission lines on Earth. Well, that's their role in space, to conduct electricity across vast distances, creating the astonishing structures we observe in every direction. None of these structures were anticipated by gravitational theory, and none are indicated by the behavior of neutral gases in a vacuum.